Hey, welcome everybody to the final and best event of the month of mounts. Now, if you haven't been following along all through July, we've been posting about tablet mounts and tablet enclosures all month long. We've done videos with installations, we've done live streams, we've done social media postings. It has been an action-packed month. And I'm just double checking my audio is on because I'll tell you in a second. But if you haven't checked it all out, go visit. You can hit our webpage. You can hit Instagram. You can look us up on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Amazon, wherever you want to find it. You'll find postings from us about the month of mounts with the top mount manufacturers in the world. Now, as you can see, I'm not in our usual studio, and that's because I've been quarantined. A family member tested positive for COVID, and so here I am at home, live streaming from home, so thank you very much for your patience. Don't worry though, everyone is healthy and safe. There hasn't even been a single cough, nobody's been sick, but we wanted to be good citizens of the world, so we're going to stay at home until we get our tests back. But that hasn't stopped us in the least, and I'm going to introduce this exclusive webinar for you today. So, if you were watching last week, we live streamed with the top mount makers from around the world. We had guests coming in from Germany, we had guys coming in from Denmark, we had all the guys coming in from the US. It was fantastic, and go back and check those out. Now, a little secret, I stuck around after the live stream with each of the makers, and we had a special conversation where I got to ask them the most important and top questions you wanted to know about mounts. And I got their feedback and I recorded it, and we're going to be presenting it today. And this is the cool part. You get to meet all of them in one place and hear their best advice to you. Now, during the presentation, if you're looking at the attendees, and on the right, I'm hoping I'm pointing in the right way, one way or the other, all of the makers are here live with you and can respond to your chat questions. So as you have questions or you want to talk to them, you can pick a single panelist you want to talk to. You could talk to all of the panelists, or you could talk to nobody and just enjoy the show. The information is fantastic. The lessons learned here is amazing. So use the Zoom chat function to chat with your top mount makers. And with that, I'm going to get out of the way and I'm going to let you guys watch the top questions from the world's top mount makers.
I would ask myself, what is the best way to power the iPads if the decision for iPad is already done? Yeah, and for us it's only iPads that we serve. So which kind of power supply can I use? Do I have PoE, for instance? Where should the mounts be installed? Glass walls, massive walls, big difference. At which angle should I position the mounts? Flat to the wall or with an angle to have a better or at least another ergonomic situation? The question is, will your tablet be, or your iPad be permanent at the wall, or do you want to take it out of the mount? These are the main questions. And which color do you like, silver or black?
So you're saying really consider your application, what you're using it for, and what it should do up front.
I think the first thing I tell people is default to iPad rather than an Android tablet. It depends, if this is a long-term implementation, like an app company rolling out an app solution and trying to standardize on a particular tablet. Android tablets tend to come and go relatively quickly. Their roadmaps are difficult to predict, and their shapes and sizes tend to vary with every single release. Whereas iPad is much more stable in its design, and Apple has a track record of being pretty merciful in over the generations of a particular iPad that the accessories still fit. So your investment in mounts on an iPad is a bit safer than it would be on an Android tablet. That and the developer pool tend to always make sure that they innovate on their iOS app, and then in a lot of cases the innovation for the Android version tends to lag. So if you want the newest features and the best features from whatever app you're using on that deployment, probably overall going to be happier on iOS. As far as the mounts itself and deploying the mounts, I would say you realize that you can do it without completely destroying your walls. There are products out there. Heckler has products that are specifically designed to allow you to wall mount tablets with minimal wall destruction. You don't have to immediately cut out and put a gang box in the wall or a double gang box. Our Wall Mount Plus Power product line has the PoE splitter built into the enclosure, in a very slim enclosure, and it's all forward of the wall, so you can just minimal wall moly damage to hold that to the wall, and a very small hole in the wall to bring through a cat cable. And in fact, it's a cat cable with such a small hole. It's a cat cable. It's a hole for just the cable alone, not even with the RJ45 jack on it. Just do your math on the injector source. You can work with PoE Texas on that. Make sure your injector source is properly powered to supply PoE power to the number of iPads you're going to deploy.
So first thing that we recommend is our top 3 best practices is starting off with the mount first. A lot of customers that come to us, they end up buying a tablet that you see on sale, then try to find a mount for it later, and then they're surprised when there's nothing available that looks nice and sleek. But the fact is, there's just a lot more tablet models than there are tablets with a wide range of mounting options. So unless you're ordering a standard iPad, Galaxy Tab, Windows Surface, or Amazon Fire, it's pretty easy to get stuck with something that you found on sale, but then you can't really mount it anywhere because they now decided to get the tablet just to save a few bucks. Next, don't forget power. If we take a look at the various options that there are in terms of power, let's switch over to the photos that show like recessed wall plugs and stuff. So one option obviously is just to hire an electrician, get some permits, run new power lines, etc. But as you can see and imagine, it gets fairly expensive. So this makes options like PoE Texas very key in terms of setting up something that can work well. Because somebody could take, for example, a double gang box, and we happen to have one here with me right now, put this directly into a wall, run a Cat5 to this location, and now you can have a PoE adapter inside of here that allows you to be able to pretty much power any tablet, so you can now use it at any time 24/7. And then lastly, the biggest recommendation that we have is make sure you test your app extensively on the tablet before you commit to it. And what I mean by that is some tablets that are on the market, they're just simply more robust in terms of being app crash resistant, can run longer without a reboot. So as you can see on our website, we have a lot of different styles. So the section that is shown on screen right now is our wall mounts. We've got 5 different wall mount designs. Then if we scroll down a little bit more, Then we have desktop mounts. We have 6 different desktop designs. We have a single simple floor stand. Then if we now keep scrolling down, we have a VESA mount enclosure that allows you to mount it onto any VESA bracket. So literally you could now mount it onto an articulating arm, etc. And then lastly, we have 3 different types of glass mounts, whether you're looking for permanent, something that's removable, or you want to have something that is removable and tilting at the same time. And we even have mounts for things like iPods as well. So the key things, as I mentioned, is really making sure that you choose your tablet wisely, then making sure you have the proper power provisions, and lastly, test your app out. Because what happens is a lot of people are running, for example, and testing initially on an iPad and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to get something that's less expensive. But then they get, say, like a Galaxy Tab or a cheapy off-the-shelf tab that was on special at Micro Center or Best Buy, and now it doesn't run as expected. So make sure that you consider all these aspects before you do an actual deployment in the long run.
So in terms of best practices for new projects, the number one piece of advice that I could give to anyone is to make sure that you do a really good job of scoping the requirements. We have done multiple projects where we talk early on to the architects or to the sponsor of a project, and then you get down to the brass tacks of how you're actually going to put this stuff in your lobbies, on your walls, on your desktops, etc. And the people that are on the ground that are actually responsible to make this stuff look good and to make sure that it functions when it's installed at the facility are the ones that you probably should have been talking to all along, and that have the best insight into how the business is actually going to utilize this equipment and maybe the things that the architects and the project sponsors didn't think about. So scope your requirements very carefully, and to the extent that you're running a project like this, make sure that you engage with the actual people that are going to be doing the work on the ground, because that's where the wealth of knowledge exists in what kind of problems you're going to run into and what kind of value your customers are going to derive from your equipment purchase. We also encourage people to engage directly with us when they are planning their project. We can help people because we've done this hundreds, if not thousands of times, to deploy these things in a way that is simple, is usable, that avoids as many pitfalls as is possible, and just help us help you think through all the things you haven't thought of yet, quite frankly. If we can ask you the right questions and collaborate with you on what you're trying to get accomplished, make sure that you have fully fleshed out your requirements. May take a little bit longer in the front end of your decision making and planning and execution process, but it will pay huge dividends in the end when things go smoothly and you can walk away from your installation knowing that it was done as quickly, as simply, and as in the most excellent way possible.
We have our 2 favorite mounts, the Viveroo 1 and the Viveroo 3, that are most custom and usable. They have the same backbox, so you can decide later on which product to actually use, but you can do the installation before. If you want to go very premium, really high-end with flush-mounted solutions, iPad removable, we also have our Loop and Square series where, as I said, it's flush-mounted. You have glass covers, it's really high-end. So these are the options we have. But going with the 3 or the 1 series, you can do, as I said, the installation before. Then you decide on the product. You can decide on having a portrait or landscape. You can ask us for custom colors if our normal silver or dark steel, as we call it, or the black is not what you really want. And we do offer it for all iPads, so you are not limited to, let's say, using the 10.2 as it's the most popular. But you can also use the iPad Pro if you like it better. You can use the iPad Mini. So these are all the options we offer. So this gives you complete freedom of using any iPad with the Viveroo mount. The most important thing is that we can cover all iPad generations, so you can use all of the variety that Apple offers with the iPad. You can decide between iPad Mini or iPad Pro. and you're not limited to anything. You use the same backbox, and then you can decide using the 1 or the 3 series. So you can do the installation first and then decide on an iPad mount. You're completely free of what you're doing with us.
So the benefits of tablets, in my experience, are that they work into a device succession plan really well. Purpose-built devices are used for whatever it is you purchase them for, and when they're done with their useful life cycle, they are a paperweight. They can't be used for anything else. And they don't really have any resale value, as opposed to tablets, which are very leasable. The chances are, if you work with one of the major tablet OEMs or even with a reseller, they have several different options available to you, whether it's a $1 residual lease or some sort of kind of a trade back lease product, where you may pay a little bit more for the solution over time in a $1 value lease, but you give the tablet back, and there's not as much capital intensity at the beginning of the project as there was. But with these other residual value leasing options, your payment for the tablet is way less. You get the value of the tablet back at the end of the project when you take it out of your building. And if you work with a reseller that's able to provide you with a DaaS product or a device as a service product, you can pay a little bit per quarter or per year for the solution, and you don't really have to worry about the solution at all. As long as you keep that product under contract, they're going to refresh your tablets every 2-3 years, whatever the obsolescence cycle is on those. And we work with the retailers and distributors to change out the tablet enclosures that might be involved, whatever it is to provide the pricing for that contract. But with those other purpose-built products, there just isn't a lot of residual value in those devices when you're through using them. Some of the other things that we've noticed with those devices over time is the touch capacity on the devices is typically not as good as it is on a tablet computer. And if you want to add additional capabilities to a purpose-built device, it's very difficult because they have a very specific piece of software that they're designed to run on, and they do what it is they're programmed to do. Whereas with a tablet computer, if you want that tablet to do something else, it's a matter of either installing or writing the application that facilitates that new capability and adding the accessory to the platform. Tablets tend to be very compatible with commercially available products like Power over Ethernet hubs, like USB-C hubs, like scanners and ergonomic scanners, or biometric scanners. All these different accessories that are out there and available and becoming more available all the time with new capabilities designed for the times that we live in. It's very difficult to integrate those new products with a sort of monolithic product design that's only designed and created to do one thing. So we think the tablet computers are a far superior way to deploy technology in an enterprise if you want that technology to be adaptable and evolve with your business needs.
Well, so first of all, the iPad is far more versatile than any panel that's only made for home automation. That's the one point. The other point why choosing the iPad is that our mounts are completely tailored to the iPad's shape and to the iPad's design. The colors you find in the Apple design, and this is why it's a perfect harmony. We have an iPad mount constructed to every certain iPad generation, so it perfectly fits, the measurements perfectly fit, and this is why we have focused on going with the iPad, to have this complete harmony, so the look in the end is premium and it's not random to fit as many tablets as possible.
The simple one-word answer is cost. To be clear, there's nothing wrong with buying a dedicated touch panel device, but between the high cost per device and how quickly technology changes, it becomes much easier to update a tablet-based setup since all of the tasks are app-driven. Dedicated devices, on the other hand, they may need to be replaced outright. For example, there's a reason why if you go into a lot of places now, there's more and more tablets everywhere, from self-service kiosks to smart home controls, to check-in stations, time clocks, interactive displays. There's just so much more that you can do with a tablet that dedicated devices can't. And that's just rarely where the value propositions shines. The other big aspect of it as well is a lot of purpose-built devices generally have specific power requirements. It needs a wall plug, it needs a regular outlet. Whereas I'm sure you know, Tyler, with tablets, you can obviously power them using PoE, and that's another aspect which allows setups to be that much more flexible, especially when you can combine products like a VitaMount along with PoE Texas PoE products, and that allows you to be able to deploy essentially self-service stations, kiosk stations, etc., anywhere that you want.
The iPad is a better way to use all these applications. I mean, you're more flexible, and even if you buy an iPad and the mount on top, it's most of the times cheaper than the usual built devices. You're better and more flexible, and then you have a nice exclusive design, especially with our mounts. And you can use the iPad in this case for other purposes. That's the most important thing.
And as markets expand and stabilize, you start to see more purpose-built hardware come into that space. One obvious point is the purpose-built hardware is almost always meant for that one purpose, and and it will only have one generation of use. The same 2, 3, 4 year time span use case. After that period, those devices are probably going to be scrapped. They're probably going to be in a landfill. Whereas an iPad deployment, at the end of that deployment, you have a lot of iPads that you can easily sell and find new life for, and keep it out of the landfill for longer. The other thing I see is the innovation, and let's take Zoom as an example. If you're using an iPad as a controller for a Zoom room, or for a scheduler outside of a Zoom meeting room, Zoom is still supporting their iOS app for Zoom rooms, and they're also building apps for the purpose-built controllers and working with manufacturers of those controllers. But what you'll see is that when the new features show up for Zoom, they show up in the iOS app first. And it could be months or quarters or a year before you see similar functionality show up on the purpose-built app and the purpose-built device. And you need to wait for the manufacturer of the purpose-built device in some cases to issue you that innovation. So it's the iOS and iPad is just that fastest moving platform for innovation. And so if you like having the newest features first, I think you'll be happiest overall with iPad. The highlights that come to mind is in our office, we have a Sonos controller. We have an iPad mounted to control the Sonos in the office. Of course, everybody can do it from their desk as well, but there's always an active Sonos controller for the music in the office. A time clock. We have a mounted iPad for production staff to clock in and out. I forget the name of the Deputy. We have used the Deputy app as a clock in, clock out on an iPad. Takes pictures of everybody clocking in and clocking out. Just works really well. And I think what I like to see is how iPad finds its way into, how it is involved in response to change. Because it moves so fast, because the developers can develop an app or add features to their app and deploy those features out to their user base so quickly, I really like seeing how it's being used in response to the pandemic. Apps like Envoy for visitor registration. Pre-pandemic visitor registration was just for visitors. During pandemic and probably after, visitor registration is for visitors and employees to clock in. And there's extra information that might be required in order to come into a building. So you see these apps, the same hardware that has been deployed, our mounts or table stands, the same tablets that were there for years or months, now have new features in them and to help the company adapt. And I really like that aspect. So right now, we're really paying attention to visitor management and also food delivery. It's hard to pick a favorite. Helping restaurants pivot and seeing what they're doing with food delivery and how tablets, and in this case, not just iPads, are being mass deployed out to restaurants to build up their delivery business as quickly as possible. I really like seeing how that technology and tablets specifically are being used to help small businesses.
Some of the favorite ones that we've seen in the field are the home automation. Like this one is showing a Control4 app, I believe, running on a Galaxy tab. And there's other options, of course, like Alexa, Google Home, etc., that allows anybody to really turn a tablet into a central command station with our Vidabox. Then the users can control lighting, security, look at cameras, control whole house AV, the full works and everything. Another cool application that we've seen a lot of people do is luxury transport, like yachts, fancy cars, RVs, etc. If we bring up the next photo set, as you can see, this is a pretty cool setup where somebody is using an iPad with 3G LTE support and are using it as a part of their navigation system. If we take a look at the other photos, some people are using it as a dedicated entertainment device, so they're using it as an AV source. So that now they're able to grab music off of there and also use it for controls throughout the entire facility as well. This person with the install, they also used it as a plotter, I believe. It shows you how far you are away from your destination, which path to take, etc. So that was done on the yacht. This person then used it for similar application, but then by using the built-in GPS tool, now they can see how fast you're going, etc. And they can also, it's almost like a like one of those Runtastic apps where you can kind of record where you've been, etc. on the water. So pretty neat stuff. And at the same time, there's also more obvious stuff too, as we can see in the next photo set. So there's things like check-in stations, as you can see here, where somebody is checking in. Now they've checked in, now they're able to get a little piece of paper serving number so-and-so. This is a conference room signage. People can also use this to check in and check out once the room is done. Other applications that can be used for is Zoom room controls as well, very popular for offices and such. Even things like point of sale, which I think should be in the next photo. That is one of our partners, Kiosk Buddy. So somebody could literally go right up to it, order food, and as we kind of mentioned in an earlier segment, they can use one of these, Dock for Square readers and now have it be available so that now somebody can just go from beginning, middle to end in terms of the entire order process and serve themselves. So that now there's no interaction needed, especially in today's, COVID world. Yeah, so like this is a fancier setup. I believe somebody integrated a Samsung Galaxy tab here, and as you can see, the stuff that we provide is actually very sleek looking. They're paintable, so if somebody's really concerned about aesthetics and such, Vidamounts become a very, very good option. This is a simple point of sale setup where somebody integrated it with a cashier drawer, as well as a receipt printer, barcode scanner. So literally, Vidamounts are very, very versatile. It could be for home use, businesses, retail. It could be a part of what we call the endless aisle, So if somebody is looking for, self-service and things like that, especially for being able to look at, oh, I want a certain size clothes and I want a certain color, certain size, but I don't have it here available. So what ends up happening is it allows stores to now minimize their retail footprint, especially in today's economy where cost is a key factor. So it allows business to be able to sell as effectively as possible and not potentially lose an opportunity for a paying customer to get what they want delivered to them.
For us, it's the best or the most important application is meeting rooms. Our best client with the highest quantity of installed mounts is Mozilla. They use our mounts all over the world in front of their meeting rooms. And I think the installed base is almost 400. They have many meeting rooms, nice locations too. Sometimes very small locations. Most of the times they have, like in this picture, glass walls. So for us, this is a big business. And here we have nice solutions because we can enter into the pole and have no visible cables. So this is, I would say, one of our main areas where we sell a lot of these mounts.
And another important application is home automation. That's the second one that's quite important. Especially people who like design, put in the focus on design, and it's like buying a new car. They want to have something special. They want to have something exclusive. That's why they are looking for something like our mount.
Our core business is the home automation, and this is what I think is most interesting. As our Viveroo 3 is designed so you can remove the iPad, it is a product made for residential issues, and this is why I think this is the most interesting part. But I have done a lot of projects when we came to customized wishes that customers had, and it's always interesting to go deeper and deeper in the project and see what the customer actually wants, and then designing a mount with a few adjustments to his wishes, and this is always great. So yeah, I cannot really decide. We had interesting projects in the retail business as well as automation, yacht projects. They are different than us, but it's always interesting to go deeper and deeper into a certain project.
So point of sale has always been a big part of our DNA as an organization, which has evolved into different types of kiosk applications. We have a couple of different ways that we can deploy in the desktop environment. So what you see on the screen right here is our permanently affixed kiosk. And again, because we work in CNC'd aluminum, we have a lot of flexibility in terms of what we can pair up with our enclosure. So in the center there, you see our integration with the Socket Mobile. I believe that's a model S740 from Socket Mobile. They're the only Bluetooth scanner that has been certified by Apple to work with the iPad platform, but it also works with Windows and other types of tablet platforms as well. The payment devices, scanners, even biometric devices, we've been asked to pair our enclosures with just about anything that you can imagine. And it's very inexpensive and easy for us to design accessories that support those various peripherals. If you scroll down a little more in this document, you're going to see that we also have movable desk stands. These can be ported around on the countertop, but they are extremely stable. If there's a criticism of our product, it is that it tends to be a little bit heavier than a lot of the other stuff that's on the market, and it's because that we make everything out of solid aluminum. When you start pecking on these devices with your fingers, they tend to jump around on the tablets or on the counter surface a little bit, and we design everything that we make with that sort of physical, tactile interaction with the tablet and everything that we do. The broad base, the length of the mast, the angle that the tablet sits on the mast. These are all designed to make the product as ergonomically usable as possible while still keeping the aesthetic. Then moving further into this document, very similar to what we do on the movable stands or on the permanent stands. We have those same features available for movable, and floor stands are becoming extremely popular right now. Sorry, in this new COVID era that we're in right now, people want to touch as little as possible. And while there are a lot of, I don't want to say gimmicks, but there are a lot of different takes on how to keep these things clean, we take the view that the lower tech solutions to keeping things clean will probably win out over time, which is wipes or disposable styluses or things like that that are cheap and easy and either disposable or reusable. Anodized aluminum has been shown. I can send you, Tyler, some studies that have been done recently on this, that anodized aluminums will only retain viruses for about 2 to 8 hours after being touched, as opposed to between 3 and 9 days on painted surfaces. So we find that the anodization process that we use is becoming much more popular. And of course, the tablets have very clear guidelines on what types of swabs and astringents can be used to clean them up, and our anodized product matches those requirements one for one. So kiosking is becoming extremely popular. Again, our floor stands are very heavily built, and they're designed to stand up to public-facing environments, including places like airports and restaurants, etc.
So I think the best value proposition, honestly, would be businesses. Businesses operate for profit, of course, especially in today's environment. Self-service kiosks and point-of-sale kiosks, I think, are the key aspect. Because once you invest in the hardware, now your ordering process is that much more streamlined. So whether it's a self-service thing where your entire, let's say you're running a restaurant and you're having people order food, there's no need for a clerk to be there taking the person's order and potentially exposing them now, to be able to have to enforce social distancing, etc. It just makes makes the process easier, where somebody could order the food right then and there. They can pay by themselves, and the second that the order is entered in, now the order shows up on the back end. The kitchen starts the immediate meal prep, all without really any direct interaction between the customer and the back end people through a human. It allows them to be able to minimize the cost of labor while maximizing safety. So that's a really very easily measurable ROI right then and there. And on the other end of the spectrum for homes, I think the smart home aspect is just at the very beginning. A lot of people, myself included, we want to be able to monitor and see, what's happening at home. By having a command center there, you can now have devices tied into it, like Internet of Things. You can now tie into your refrigerator, a washer, dryer. I mean, anytime that a laundry load is done, I actually get a notification on my cell phone, and it's pretty convenient because now when I'm able to do my other tasks, I can bounce back onto it. And how a tablet ties into that, it allows people to be able to have a common location where all that information can be. Because phones, as cool as they are, they may not always be charged. You may not always have one on hand. And especially for things like security cameras and security systems, you can now also arm them, disarm them, get kind of like a bird's eye view of what's going on. Even things like telemedicine for at home. Like I have a couple of elderly parents, and I actually set up a couple of tablets for them so that they can actually speak with their doctor right from home. And yes, there's not a profit motive per se when you're at home, but in terms of an ROI, I think it's invaluable to be able now to get access to professional medical care for somebody that's elderly, and you don't want them to be exposed potentially, to a lot of people that are out there and stuff. So, whether it's an ROI in a dollar sense for businesses, or is an ROI from a personal point of view in terms of, taking care of your family and stuff, I think Vita mounts combined with solutions like PoE Texas and charging solutions become a very interesting and valuable package.
Well, we had a very interesting project in the past when a customer had a wall made out of stone, and we had our in-wall product made of the same surface. So you have flush mounted, so the mount almost became invisible. With all the mechanics, so you can take the iPad out, but this was the invisible mount in a stone wall, and maybe this is a highlight in what we have done in the past.
That is constantly changing. At one point I would have said that was point of sale, helping small businesses launch because they figured out how to set up a point of sale. Previous to 2012, it was a mystery. If you wanted to start a business, how do you get all that point of sale equipment set up? After 2012, I was I get an iPad and I get a star printer and I'm in business. So that would have been my favorite. And then when we discovered Zoom 4 years ago and kind of cloud-based video conferencing, boy, that became my favorite. Wow, it's, finally businesses can have video conferencing everywhere and they can deploy it using a lot of easily obtained devices, namely iPad and any kind of webcam. And now things have shifted. Zoom is still big, but maybe Zoom in a small meeting room is not as big right now. So yeah, my personal favorite right now is it's probably food delivery and watching restaurants quickly adapt and serve their customers through screens and really ramp up their delivery business and grocery business. So watching restaurants just mount a lot of iPads. Their employees' experience now is monitoring 4 or 5 different tablets up on the wall to just watch all the orders come in. I think that's great that is part of every restaurant right now. So yeah, it does change. Next week you might get a different answer, but I like supporting small business, and so I like how small business can take an iPad they used to use for this application over here and then put it to use in a new application and a new use case that they need even more. And a lot of times the hardware and the stands and the mounts necessary to support those different scenarios change, and we'll be there to offer whatever hardware they could possibly need.
And then probably our most famous or our most popular, and the thing that we're famous for is how we look in office environments. Conference room and digital signage has become sort of a core of our business, and we continue to add innovative accessories to those. What you're looking at here is an LED accessory, which is separate and apart from our actual enclosure product. So for any of those companies out there that have deployed our products for Surface Go, for instance, this new LED accessory simply sits right behind the enclosure. So you take the enclosure off of the mount that it's currently mounted on, you put this LED accessory in behind it. Of course, we need to figure out a way to accommodate the PoE Texas part, which supplies power both to the Surface Go and to the LED accessory to create those electrical connections. But once that's done, nothing that you purchased from us in the past is throwaway. The LED accessory simply upgrades the fixture that you already own. So when we talked a little bit about cost effectiveness and how to sort of right size an installation for your audience, these are accessories that, with some of the purpose-built products that are out there, when you buy it, it is what it is. You can turn the LEDs on or turn them off, but they came with what you bought. In the case of our product, you can decide whether you want LEDs with your enclosures or not, and that sort of dictates the price that you pay for each position. So we're really excited about that product. We've worked in very close collaboration with PoE Texas to get it created and brought to market, and we expect to be shipping it sometime in the September to October timeframe.
We're trying always to do our best. I think I should show a new baby. This is an iPhone, as you see. It's a wall mount for iPhones. Yeah, very slim again. You can mount it on top of a back box. You can have a PoE power supply behind. We sometimes, this is the first product, it's for iPhone SE. They're very often, or
They're used basically for intercoms. I mean, that's
intercoms, or as a remote control for something, to have music in the bathroom, and etc. I mean, everything you can do with an iPhone, with an old iPhone, or a cheap iPhone, or also with an iPod Touch. This will be the next size we will do for the S-Dock Nano. So if you are a company and need a remote control for your heating or ventilation system, like we have a French company, they use it like this. You can have a custom design product. You can also use a nice and cheap Android phone, and we make it customized for you. We adapt the size, and these are the projects we think of. We will have it ready as a standard product for iPhone SE and iPod Touch. We have another company at the moment, they're doing time control or access control. If you think of having iPhone XR, they have a NFC chip inside, and you can identify yourself with the NFC chip. So you have a perfect access control or time control device at a price point which is way lower than regular devices which are only meant for this purpose.
Well, so as I said before on the live stream, we're looking forward to get in touch with you. Whenever you think about you can install an iPad and you have a difficult mounting situation, you want to customize for a quantity of not 1,000 pieces, but for any quantity, you have some special ideas. We are looking forward to work with you and designing the mount that you need. So of course, we also like to sell our standard mount. Don't understand me wrong, but we are happy for every inquiry we get. Even though you think it's difficult to do it, just give us the idea and we'll think about it.
I think the most interesting thing about a product is that it's extremely high quality, and everybody who's purchased it has been extremely happy. As a matter of fact, if we go into the gallery section on the top of our website, that actually leads onto our Instagram account. Every single one of the photo submissions that you see that are there, they're actually from our end customers. They're basically folks who've installed our products, whether it's at home, in their business, or even somebody did a DIY photo booth because they couldn't find one that made them happy, or if they're making a time clock, putting it onto a yacht, etc. You can literally find hundreds of different photo applications that are either photos of applications and installations that have been done in the field. And this is honestly just a small fraction, because most people actually don't send us photos back once they're happy with their setups and stuff. But basically the end result is that if you're looking for something that you're not quite sure how to approach it, you're not quite sure how to get started, give us a call. We're available regular business hours through chat right on our website, or through 844-4-kiosks or Vidabox.com. More than happy to help you. In a lot of instances too, it may be difficult to get started because there's just so many options out there. And that's exactly what we're here for. We're not here to just say, oh, let's just sell the mountain and that's it. No, we want to be able to figure out exactly what device that we have would suit your application and particular installation scenario, how to install it, how to secure it, and of course, how to power it using options like PoE.
We offer product for design-orientated people, for someone who likes design, who wants to have something special, who wants to have something unique. This is our client.
BOXIT Design is a 10-year-old company. We've kind of seen it all in terms of how tablet devices can be used out in the marketplace, from corporate enterprise to safety agencies that are deploying tablets, to airports and museums, aquariums, restaurants, libraries, you name it. And invariably, there is some aspect of what the customer wants to see from our product that they don't see in the catalog. And I think the value proposition that we bring to the table, beyond the fact that we make minimalistic, aesthetically beautiful products, and that we support multiple tablet lines, including Microsoft, Apple, Samsung, Dell. We do a lot of custom development, and I think we do a very good job of helping customers through the process of deploying tablet computers, not as just a product, but as a capability that enhances their business. So we really want to sit down and work with the business owners to figure out what it is that they're trying to accomplish, how that best gets done, what sort of customizations are going to be required, if any, to our standard product in order to help them to realize their vision, and then give them the sort of customer service from start to finish that is really going to support their project, not just as a vendor, but as a partner. That's the way we think about everything that we do, not only the work that we do with vendors like PoE Texas and Technicos, Microsoft, and all the other companies that we work with in partnership to bring these products to market. But each one of our customers is viewed as a partner in our success. That's the way we treat them. That's the way we handle their projects. And I think that's what we're best known for in the industry.
I think it's important to know that there's folks like the Heckler team out there that some of us are working from home, and some of us are hard at work in production, constantly thinking up new things and constantly thinking up what the pain points are. So we are listening, and it's important that our customers tell us what they want and what challenges they have. So I think that would probably be a good takeaway, is for customers and people with needs to speak up and talk to the manufacturers. We want to know what it is, how our current products fall short, and what totally new use case you have, and what we could be making to support that. I think a lot of times we find our customers suffering in silence, and maybe using a product that we developed for one use case for a totally different use case and kind of kludging it. And it's something we would have loved to have known, because we can build something very specific and very nice just for that specific use case. So know that it's not, we're not on the other end of the planet, and we're nameless, faceless folks. We're right here in Phoenix, and if you have a need and you're not finding what you need, feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you all for joining this exclusive webinar presented by PoE Texas. If you like what you just saw, we'll post this along with all of our other videos on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to find us. Share it with your customers, share it with your colleagues, share it with your friends, so you can build your credibility as an expert. It will bring you more value as a business owner or a business person, and it will bring more value to those you share it with. So, otherwise, if you thought this wasn't the best thing that ever happened, because I thought it was, tell us what you'd like to see more of. We make these events for you, so we'd love to hear what you want to see, where you want to engage. Pick any channel you want, send us a message. We monitor them all. We're here listening to what you guys need. So, finally, stay tuned as we launch our intelligent building campaign over the next couple of months. We're going to be showing you how to take a humdrum, regular old building and convert it into a digitally intelligent building using mounts and the rest of our technology. So stick around, check that out. We're going to be announcing it live. We're going to be doing some big announcements for it up in the next coming couple of months. Thank you all for joining. We appreciate it, and a special thank you to all the panelists who participated in our live streams and the month of mounts. It was fantastic. I learned a lot, and I hope you did too. We'll see you next time.